Pleased to be joined by Ohio State head coach Steve Rohlik. Steve, a trip to the NCAA tournament last year. I know for so many Ohio State hockey fans it had been way too long, since 2009, since the season had extended into the NCAAs. For you, what was the most satisfying part of last year?
Well, I mean, it was obviously the accomplishment of, of getting to that NCAA tournament. A lot of hard work. And again, like I always say, it's just us carrying on the tradition of what this program is. And, we're not satisfied. We're certainly happy with the direction and where we're going, but the hunger's still there.
What is the focus and the message to the guys this year to try to continue that forward momentum? There are some talent certainly returning, but you obviously lose some key guys. We'll go through some of those names later. But the message to the returning players is what?
Well, never be satisfied. As soon as you get satisfied, you're going to get passed up, and you want to continue to work harder and push yourself. So to me, if you think we reach the top of the mountain, they're awfully wrong. We still got a long way to climb.
How much will you miss Drew Brevig as a defenseman? Yes, but also as a guy who seemingly forever, as we covered college hockey, was kind of running the point for you guys and doing so many special things in the blue line.
Well, you're going to miss those guys. I mean, people forget how many minutes he's played here, and more importantly, what a great human being, what a great person he was on and off the ice. It's that kind of leadership, and that's kind of what's directed our culture here at Ohio State. It's because of people like Drew Brevig.
Who kind of takes over that mantle this year, or what combination of players do you hope takes over that mantle this year?
Well, I mean, for me right now, you kind of look up front, and you look at obviously Mason Jobst and Dakota Joshua, Tanner Lazinski, Matty Weiss. I mean, those are just a few of the names. Those are the guys that got to carry on the torch. But we certainly got a handful of guys that I think can step in and contribute to our program.
What makes Mason so successful? He and I talked about the techniques and the different things that he can do, as certainly not one of the biggest guys out there, to still put the puck in the net, and tying for the Big Ten scoring lead last year. He did that. How does he do it?
Well, he does it through hard work. I've never seen a guy that wants it as bad as he does. You always ask, you want the guy that's out there late and out there early, and he's always the one. He's shooting, a zillion pucks every day. I mean, this is a guy that's all in, and he's going to do whatever it takes to make himself better and make the team better.
Steve, I remember asking you last year if you felt like there was a player who was ready to make a step. You brought up Mason, but you also brought up Dakota Joshua. And in watching him last year, his combination of not just offensive skill, but physicality is something that's pretty rare at this level. What does he provide for your team in those two areas?
Well, I think he's got great hockey sense, and his biggest asset at 6'3" from the top of the circles down offensively, he can really do some damage. A lot of teams can't control him one-on-one, so he's always drawing, someone else with him. All of a sudden, you got two guys focused on trying to shut him down. Somebody else is open. So he certainly brings a lot to our offense, and, he's a guy that's really working hard to become a good 200-foot player.
Special teams-wise, you guys weren't just one of the best in the country last year. You're one of the best in recent history in the Big Ten, in the NCAA, as far as power play conversion rate is concerned. How do you try to continue that this year, even though you lost so many of those important parts that were on that first power play unit?
Well, you know what? You don't replace, Nick Schilke or David Gust on that power play, but you add some pieces that can contribute, and we do have some mainstays. And when you still have Mason Jobst and Dakota Joshua and like I said, Tanner Lazinski, Matty Weiss, we do have some components there that I believe can step in. Where we'll be at the end of the year, we're not sure, but we know we got to just keep getting better, and that's our whole goal.
I'll never finish an interview with you without talking about the goaltender situation, not just because it's a personal interest of mine, but because it was so rough when you got there, and then you found stability with a couple of guys for a few years, and now you're back to the drawing board. In one sense, could you try to handicap where that position is before you start the year?
Well, they're all undefeated right now, I know that, and I think that's a good thing. I got three good kids there. They're working hard right now. We've only been on the ice a few times, so It's one of the most important positions in obviously hockey in general. But I feel confident in what we have and where we're going, and I look forward to the start with those guys.
Steve, the schedule is so interesting this year with the addition of Notre Dame and the conference being forced to change those schedules, and everybody plays a conference game, a couple of conference games early. Your first series of the year is against Wisconsin. Your last series of the year is against Wisconsin. Your thoughts on a very intriguing and a very different schedule than one that the league has ever played before?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really exciting. I mean, obviously, I think we're all excited that Notre Dame's part of our league and part of the brand. Now with starting off right away, I mean, it could be one of the most important games of the year, game one. We found that out last year in a non-conference game. It came down to basically winning a big game, the first game of the year that could have ended up helping us get in the national tournament last year. So it's a different look at it, but we know stepping up come October that we got to be ready in an environment on the road, and all of a sudden it's Big Ten Conference hockey right away. So we're excited for it. It's going to be interesting how it plays out, but we'll see how that goes.
Steve, among the many impressive numbers that your team put up last year, they're not just on the ice. Off the ice, you had 16 academic All-Big Ten honorees. What do you attribute so much success to with those guys in the classroom?
You know what? I mean, it's our resources here at Ohio State. It's second to none. Everybody looks at these guys with their helmets on, but to me, we all dream big about playing at the next level, and yes, that's part of our job, but also getting that magic piece of paper from The Ohio State University. That's the most important thing that they'll get here.
Lastly, we discussed Mason's work ethic on the ice. He's the same way in the classroom. He was an academic All-Big Ten honoree last year, in addition to being a second-team All-American on the ice. What kind of example does he set for the guys? And I'm not just talking about when you step onto the ice.
Well, that is our culture. You're coming here to The Ohio State to develop as a hockey player and try to reach your dreams. Also, you're coming here to be a student athlete. And when you see your best player go out there every day and do what he does on the ice, and you see your best player do what he does off the ice, that's what you want to follow. And again, I keep talking about culture, but that's the type of student athletes you want. And to have a leader that does it, it's just that much more important.
All right, lastly, Steve, a little bit of a change for you alongside on the bench. J.B. Bittner back to his alma mater as one of your assistants. What does he bring? Well,
I mean, he brings what it is to be a Buckeye. He lived it. He played here. He's one of the all-time great captains here. I'm just so very fortunate to have him, involved back with this program where he belongs, and he's going to be a huge asset.
Steve Rohlik, Ohio State head coach, has the Buckeyes headed in the right direction as we get ready to drop the puck on the 17-18 Big Ten season. Rohlik, as always, great to catch up. Best of luck all year long.
Yeah, thanks. Really appreciate it.